What if the confusion you're experiencing right now is actually evidence that God is rebuilding your life? What if the closed doors, unexpected delays, and uncomfortable changes aren't signs that God has abandoned you, but signs that He is preparing you for a higher divine purpose? Stay with me, because today we're uncovering the quiet signs that God is reconstructing your life in ways you may not even realize. There are seasons in life when everything seems to change at once. People leave, plans fall apart, dreams are delayed, opportunities disappear, and suddenly, you're standing in unfamiliar territory wondering what God is doing. If you've ever felt that way, this message is for you. Because often, before God elevates your life, He reconstructs it. Before He builds something new, He removes what can no longer support your future. Today, we'll explore the quiet signs that God is rebuilding your life for a higher divine purpose. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and join our community of believers growing together in faith. Now let's dive in. Sign 1. Things that once satisfied you no longer do. One of the first signs God is reconstructing your life is a holy dissatisfaction. Things that once excited you no longer fulfill you. Activities that once consumed your attention begin to feel empty. Success without purpose starts feeling meaningless. This can be confusing. You may wonder what's wrong, but often nothing is wrong. God is expanding your spiritual appetite. He's creating room for something deeper. The things that once satisfied you can no longer sustain the person He is calling you to become. This dissatisfaction is not punishment. It's preparation. Sign 2. Doors begin to close unexpectedly. One of the hardest parts of God's reconstruction process is closed doors. You prayed. You prepared. You expected things to work out. Yet somehow the opportunity vanished. The relationship ended. The plan failed. At first, closed doors feel painful. But many times God closes doors because He sees what we cannot see. A closed door today may protect you from regret tomorrow. God never closes a door without purpose. And often, the closed door is making room for a better one. Sign 3. You experience a season of isolation. Isolation is one of the most misunderstood seasons in the Christian life. When God begins reconstructing your life, He may temporarily reduce distractions. Some friendships fade. Some relationships shift. Certain environments no longer fit. This isn't necessarily rejection. It may be redirection. Throughout Scripture, God often separated people before assigning them greater responsibilities. Moses experienced isolation. David experienced isolation. Even Jesus spent time alone before beginning His ministry. Sometimes God pulls you away from the crowd so you can hear His voice more clearly. Sign 4. Your priorities begin to change. As God rebuilds your life, your values often shift. Things that once seemed important become less significant, and things you once overlooked become priorities. You begin focusing more on purpose than popularity, more on character than comfort, more on eternal impact than temporary success. This internal transformation is often one of the strongest indicators that God is preparing you for something greater. Sign 5. You feel uncomfortable in your current season. Growth is rarely comfortable. When God stretches your faith, you may feel out of place. The old season doesn't fit anymore, but the new season hasn't fully arrived. You find yourself between where you've been and where God is taking you. This uncomfortable space can feel frustrating, but it often signals transition. And transition is a key part of reconstruction. Sign 6. God is teaching you to depend on Him. One of God's greatest goals is dependence. Not dependence on money, not dependence on people, not dependence on circumstances. Dependence on Him. Sometimes God allows uncertainty because uncertainty drives us closer to Him. Prayer becomes deeper. Faith becomes stronger. Trust becomes more genuine. And through that process, our relationship with God grows. Mid-video CTA. If you're recognizing some of these signs in your own life, take a moment to like this video. In the comments, write, "God is rebuilding me." Your words may encourage someone else who is walking through a similar season. And if you're new here, subscribe for more faith-building messages every week. Now let's continue. Sign 7. Old identities begin to fall away. God cannot fully reveal your future while you're still clinging to outdated versions of yourself. Sometimes He removes labels you've carried for years. Fear, insecurity, people-pleasing, past failures, old wounds. As these identities fall away, God begins revealing who you truly are in Him. And that process changes everything. Sign 8. You develop greater spiritual hunger. One powerful sign of reconstruction is increased desire for God. You crave prayer more. You spend more time in Scripture. You seek God's guidance more intentionally. This hunger isn't accidental. God is drawing you closer because He wants to prepare you for what's ahead. Spiritual hunger often precedes spiritual growth. Sign 9. You start seeing life differently. God doesn't just change circumstances. He changes perspective. Suddenly, you notice lessons where you once saw problems, opportunities where you once saw obstacles, purpose where you once saw pain. This shift in perspective is evidence that God is renewing your mind. And renewed thinking creates transformed living. Sign 10. You feel called to something greater. Even if you cannot fully explain it, you sense God is leading you somewhere. There's a growing awareness that your life has deeper purpose. You feel called to make a greater impact, to serve differently, to grow spiritually, to live more intentionally. This calling may not yet be clear, but the desire itself is often part of God's reconstruction process. Why reconstruction feels painful? Many people misunderstand reconstruction because they focus on what is being removed. But God focuses on what is being built. Demolition always comes before rebuilding. A foundation must be strengthened before a larger structure can stand. The pain you're experiencing may not be destruction. It may be preparation. And preparation is often uncomfortable. Trusting the process. The challenge is that reconstruction rarely makes sense while it's happening. You won't always understand why doors close, why plans change, why delays occur, why certain people leave. But faith means trusting God even when understanding is limited. God sees the complete picture. We see only a small part. Trusting Him allows us to move forward with confidence even when the future remains unclear. Friend, if life feels different right now, if things seem uncertain, if old doors are closing and new ones haven't opened yet, don't panic. God may be reconstructing your life. He may be strengthening your foundation, removing distractions, building your faith, preparing your future, and positioning you for a higher divine purpose. The process may be quiet. It may be slow. It may be uncomfortable, but it is not meaningless. God is working, even when you cannot see it, even when you cannot feel it, even when you do not understand it. Trust Him, because the God who is rebuilding your life knows exactly what He is doing.